Alrighty guys, if you're like me and you're just now starting Fantasy Life I, the girl who steals time, you're probably wondering to yourself, what are all the different lives and what do they do and which one's the best to pick? And I'm here to tell you exactly what each of those are. So as soon as you start the game, you're going to meet the king of this brand new island and he's going to tell you to stop being idle and go get a life. So it'll bring you right down here to the guild office and Paladin's guild. You'll just go ahead and walk right in. And you'll talk to Auntie Anne here. She will then present you with your starting life. You have all of these lives to choose from. You cannot choose these two at the moment. However, you can choose any of these lives to be your very first one. Once you've chosen it, you'll go ahead and start up your first quest. For example, I chose here the Mercenary starting life. So I'll come here to the Mercenaries Guild over at the inn. Right now, just kind of looking around, seeing all the different guilds that this game offers. But my Mercenaries Guild is right here in the inn. So I'll go ahead and head on inside. And once inside, I will talk to the Mercenary Guild Leader. The Mercenary Guild Leader, everyone's different. Every single life has a different starting quest for you. So you'll go ahead, you'll talk to your guild leader, and then once you've completed it, you'll be promoted to a fledgling of that life. So if you see here, you can check both life here, where it will say fledgling in the bottom right corner, as well as in your quest menu, you are now a fledgling life member for that guild. After that, you can freely change any life you want. So if we just run on back to the guild office here, and you talk to Auntie Anne again, she'll present you with an option to change your life. So it'll give you another menu like this. The ones that are like darkened, you won't be able to access. The ones that are light, you will already have, but you'll be able to choose a brand new life. Once you've chosen a life, you have to reach fledgling in that life before you can move on to another one. So the curve here and the cycle here is that you come to her, you choose a new life, you get to fledgling by completing your starting quest at your respective guild halls, and then you continue doing that till all the lives have been unlocked. Once you have unlocked lives, it's very easy to change them. You can do it one of two ways. You can press right on the D-pad, and you can just quickly change your life. So let's say I'm a mercenary, I want to be a woodcutter. I can go ahead and quickly swap. If I want to be a mercenary again, I can swap again back. You can also go to your menu and go to life here, and you can change this way. A little bit quicker to do it by pressing on the D-pad, however. The final way to change your life quickly is that any time you come to something that needs a specific life, you can just walk up. Like this tree here, you need to be a woodcutter. So when you press A on it, it will automatically swap you to a woodcutter. And if you want to go back into your combat class, you can just press your attack button to switch into your combat class. The only thing that will stay the same is your combat class. The only way to get it to actually change, you got to put your weapon away, and you have to change which one it's going to default to. So I like to keep mine default mercenary, so anytime I pull out my weapon, I will change to that. The final general information for all classes is that you will get quests. Every time you level up to a new rank, you will get these quests. These quests will tell you what to do. They will reward you with star points. And when you have enough star points indicated in the top right corner, right next to fledgling, I need 400, for instance, to go above fledgling, you will go to the next rank. All of these quests will tell you what to do, such as defeat monsters as a mercenary. I have to defeat 6 proto-beetle ballers. I have to complete most of these quests, not all of them, because as you can see, I will get well above 400 before then to upgrade to the next tier. And so you might be asking yourself now, well, what class or what job or what life should I start with? And although you can choose all of them, I want to just give a brief explanation for what each of these are. I'll just go down the list in order from top left all the way down. Starting with our combat classes, we have the Paladin here. The Paladin's guild hall is right here at the guild office. You'll just walk in, and your guildmaster is Kuna here. She'll send you on a little quest to help people out. I won't be going over every quest because most of them are relatively the same. They're just going back and forth, completing quick tasks for them. Your Paladin class is your sword and shield class in this game. A little more tanky, a little bit quicker. However, it doesn't put out crazy amounts of damage, but much, much more defensive, has a lot more HP. So you can come into a battle with an enemy. You can dodge roll like normal. However, your special ability, which you get by holding RB, is you can throw up a shield. You're going to tank some damage. You'll be able to take a lot more damage than most other classes. Your basic attack is very quick. You can see here, I attack very quickly with the attack button. My special attack is a little spin there that you do. Then the only other one you have is your starting charge ability is a sonic blade. You basically shoot out a launcher, kind of like Link from The Legend of Zelda, just a little projectile there. And there I just hit level 6. Each life also has a skill board here. Most of them are the same. You'll usually have them in the exact same spots, such as the combat classes give you critical hit rates, SPs, defenses, and different kinds of attacks right up here. So I'll just be covering these once we get to each one. This is where I like to start my classes with. I got every class level 5 just to show this off. However, most classes, as you'll see, almost look the exact same. So I'd say, if you like fast combat, if you like to be able to block, have some shields, and work as a city guard, because that is what the paladins in this game are, then the paladin class is right for you. The next class is the mercenary class. Mercenary's guild is right here at the inn. You can just go ahead and walk on inside. And it has one of my favorite guild leaders, Marcen here. He's one of these humanoid creatures that I always forget the name of in this game. However, I was a big fan of their story, as well as him as a guild leader. The Mercenary is your great sword, heavy attack damage character in this game. They wield the sword with 2 hands. They do a ton of damage. They're a little bit slower. However, they are very, very powerful. You'll see here on this Tunako lizard, my regular attack is just a long wind-up attack. Again, you have the normal dodge, but you can see I do a lot of damage compared to the paladin. My Y attack is a double slash, so you attack twice with it. Very, very fun. And then your RB, which I'll show off right over here. Your special move, your RB skill, if you charge it up, you will have a charged blade that you can unleash for an insane amount of damage. Basically, you increase your damage for a short period of time. Holding X will charge up a triple slash here. The heavy swing, you attack 3 times, does insane damage. If you like big damage, very slow but very consistent heavy damage, the Mercenary is the class for you. They do not have any insane lore in this game like the Paladins do. However, they're very fun. I also think their outfit looks really, really nice. Your next combat class is the Hunters. Your Hunters are your ranged characters in this game. They actually do not have a guild hall, however their guild master is Archie here. You can find it right over here to the left of the city, just south of the Carpenter's Guild. I actually had a hard time finding this. This is the only guild I hadn't found before I joined them. So if you want to join them, you just head on over here and meet Archie. The way their combat works is they are fully ranged. So I like to lock on, because if you don't lock on, it just goes the way you're facing. However, if you lock onto an enemy, no matter where you go, you're going to be facing the enemy at all times. Your basic X attacks are just basic attacks. You can see they're quick firing, but not high damage. Your Y attack is like a jump back attack. So if you're fighting multiple enemies, you can just press Y. You'll jump back and do heavy damage. Of course, these can be comboed into each other for very, very heavy damage. Their special ability, their RB, is a dash away. So you can get away from the enemy very quickly. So if an enemy's coming at you, you can attack, go right back into it, cancel an attack. You can do it multiple times in a row. I think you can actually just spam it to go around very quickly to get around the enemy. Their first starting holding ability is actually a arrow rain, so it's an AoE attack, does insane amounts of damage, however, drains SP like crazy. They also, them and the Magician have a unique ability where if they hold RB, they can actually change what kind of damage they do. So if I swap here, I can actually change to a Sleeping Arrow. Sleeping Arrow, just takes the place of your charged X attack. So if you charge up and unleash, you do Sleep Arrow, which is still an AoE. However, now it will apply a status effect to enemies. That is sleep. So very fun. If you like to stay away from enemies and just kind of dash around and attack, this is definitely the class for you. The fourth and final combat class, other than your starting class, which is brand new, which you do not want to play as anyways, is the Magician here. The Magician is your magical caster in this game. The Magician also doesn't have a dedicated guild. However, its guild leader is Oz. He's a cat. Yes, he does talk. You can see right here. I've been waiting for you. They can just fully talk to you. Didn't mean to do the status report, but you can see here an example of what happens when you complete some challenges. You'll get some little stars there. You also have Ragdoll here. He's just your little partner. Every guild has a partner that helps you on their quest. Their guild hall is located right up here. This is the actual guild hall right here. You can just head north across this little water up the stairs and you'll find Oz, the guild leader here. As mentioned prior, this is the only magical class in the game. Just like the Ranger, you can just freely press X or Y to attack in any directions. However, if you lock on, you will always target that enemy. Your X is your basic magic class. Not too many different attacks here from the Ranger, just a little bit of range. Your Y, however, is a area that does a little bit of AoE damage, and I believe actually lets you cast stronger spells if you're standing in it. However, starting off, you don't have too many strong spells. The place this differs at, though, is if you press RB, you commit to an attack you cannot move in. This is me moving the stick. You can see here I'm going to move as soon as I get out of it. You have to go through this entire animation, but what it does is it makes you use less SP per attack. The big one here, and where the huge damage comes from, and probably the highest damage in the game, is if you hold X and charge it up, you will unleash a special attack. This one is Arcane Arts. Very, very powerful. It is a very simple class, however, as you can expect, because it's a magic class, it is a glass cannon. I can show off some damage on these creatures right down here real quick, and you will see just the kind of damage we can put out. We unleash Arcane Arts. It will pass through enemies and attack all of them. Very, very powerful. We also get 10,000 dosh there just from beating that. That is the main story quest we're on right now, so don't have to worry too much about that. And so, if you like casting magic arts, you're going to go through a lot of SP but do insane damage, you're purely a glass cannon, then this is definitely the class for you. The next lives we have are the Gathering Lives. The Gathering Lives right now are the least amount you can get at the start of the game. You have your Miner, your Woodcutter, your Angler, and your Farmer. However, the Farmer is not unlockable yet. I will cover both the Farmer and the Artist at the very end of this video. So, we'll start here with the Miner. I do want to quickly show off the skill boards because going forward, all the other classes are the exact same. So you have up here, you'll have special abilities that your gathering classes can do. Over here to the left, you'll have your crit spot and how quickly you can mine or gather. Over here, you will have your base abilities for your classes. So +5 mining just means you can mine a little bit quicker, a little bit stronger. And then down here, you have your max SP boost. That is the same for woodcutting and anglers. It is all the same, just reflavored to fit that text. Your guild hall here is the Miners Guild. This is located just southwest of the guild hall over there. So we'll go ahead and head on in. And inside you have Meralda, the guild hall leader. Talk to her and she will give you all of your quests. She's also very fun. Beryl and her interaction is fantastic. All of the gathering classes specialize in one thing, gathering resources from nodes throughout the world. The mining class is good at gathering ores from deposits of ores. A place I like to go to is this novice miner's pit. This is just to the northwest of the guild hall, so you just cross this bridge and head north, directly north of the Woodcutters Guild. We'll just go ahead and head on inside, and I'll show the basis of mining. You can come to any of these deposits. You can see here levels. The levels determine the HP that the nodes have. So for an instance, we'll come to this level 3 deposit. We'll go ahead and press A on it, and we'll be in this like little mini combat here. You can press A to do a normal attack, or Y to do a strong attack. Those deplete your SP accordingly. You can see up in the top left corner, we lose just a little bit for our normal attack. However, we use a ton with our special attack. When you destroy an ore, you will gain XP and some resources. So right there, we get some Mysteria Copper and Mysteria Masonry. This changes depending on what ores you're fighting, what level they are, and the different kinds of ores. One other feature here is sweet spots. Sweet spots will apply to every single gathering class. The way a sweet spot works is if you have a skill, this makes it really easy. So I've bought the first skill that you get at fletching. You just go ahead and press X. It'll tell you if you're close to the sweet spot. I'm not there. Press X again. I'm a little bit closer, which means it's probably over here on this left side, and I'm right on it. So if I move over to the right here, you'll see with my normal attack, I do 76. However, if I get on the sweet spot, I do 111. You do a ton more damage here just from attacking, including pressing Y. You can see there I also got lucky. I'm going to try to see if I can pull that off real quick over here. But you can see there we got some yellow stones, Mysteria Copper, and a treasure chest with a bronze pickaxe. Of course, every single one is different. The higher level, the more rare stuff you'll get, and the different resources you get. If you come over here, and you're not attacking the weak spot, you can just attack. We're actually going to look for Lucky. Lucky is basically your crit. Right there we got 92 damage. If you hit Luckies, that's the equivalent of you hitting a crit on a normal attack. Luckies are very good early game. Of course, they are just crit chance, so there's a chance you don't get anything at all. You get XP just from mining. You can see here, as I don't have any more SP, you can see it actually is slowly regenerating its HP. However, I do get the quote-unquote kill there, and we get some new ores and some masonry. That is the entire extent of gathering classes. The point of them is purely to gather resources to be used to either be sold or so that way you can use it in crafting a little bit later. So if you like mining, go ahead and grab this for your first one. I highly recommend for every single class going forward, you pick them all up. At the very least, pick up Miner, Woodcutter, and Angler. You can get away with only one combat class, whichever one's your favorite. However, you're going to want all three of these, especially if you go into the crafting classes a little bit later. The next life in this game is the woodcutting life. As I'm sure you can expect, their whole job is to chop down wood. The Woodcutters Guild is just south of the mine that we just found, right over here to the left of the guild hall. You just cross this bridge, and it's right here. You can go on inside, and your guild master is Leela here. She's a singer, she's awful, super funny, and she's going to teach you how to chop some wood. Chopping wood is very, very simple. Just like every other gathering class, your nodes will have levels, which will indicate how strong they are, which is how much damage you need to do and how much HP they have. So you just come up to a tree, you press A, and you can chop away. Very, very easy. You can spam A. I'm just going a little bit slower. You can get excellent there if you chop it in a quick amount of time. It just gives you a little bit more logs. Just like every other gathering class as well, you can use the ability to search to see if you can find the weak spot, which means it's probably going to be on the other side of the tree, which means it's likely going to be around right here. And your weak spots, your sweet spots, do a little bit more damage, as well as if you attack, you might sometimes get lucky and get the lucky attack. Right there, we got it right there at the end. From trees, you'll be getting logs. Logs are used in your carpentry. That's about it. Again, crafting or gathering classes are really just used for crafting. You can, of course, sell anything in this game for some money, for some dosh there. I have 10,000 you can see in the top right corner. So if you just want to run around, chop some wood, go ahead and pick up your woodcutter class. The final gathering class in the game is the angler. The angler is basically your fisher in this game. You can find the Anglers Guild right here to the right of the guild hall. To the southeast, you'll see a little pier that you can come to, and he's going to be right here. Just walk in. You got Gramps here. He's your old fisherman guildmaster. He'll teach you everything you need to know about fishing. Fishing works about how you would expect it would. Works very similar to other games that have fishing minigames. You just walk up to a fish shadow, and just like every other gathering, it has a level which determines how difficult it will be. You come up, you press A, and you'll throw your fishing line into water. You'll wait for the bobber to go down, and then you will press A or interact to grab it. So you'll see it'll bob, and then sink, and you'll grab. You do a little bit extra damage. You'll see there on the left side, that's basically the how much time you have left to catch the fish. And the way this minigame works is you actually change what direction you want to pull and then press A. That'll do some damage to the fish. As you see, I can get a lucky there just like in everything else. And you just kind of pull around. Y will give you a little bit stronger of a pull to grab it a little quicker. And then you catch yourself a fish. Right there I caught a sardine. As far as I've seen, you can only catch the same fish. You'll get some fish scales from it. I've only caught tier 1 fish, but I'm assuming just like other games in the genre, you can catch different kinds of fish, different rarity of fish. The only other thing of note, because this minigame is a little different than the other gathering classes, is that right whenever the fish grabs, you'll see an exclamation point above your head. You want to click it to do some initial damage. If you press X, you can see if you are close to the sweet spot. Just like in every other gathering, it has a sweet spot, so you can see my sweet spots right here on the right. So if you just come over here and click A, you'll do a little bit more damage. However, the sweet spot can change. I got a Tinoco fish there. I have never had the sweet spot change. However, you can see here that when you have a stronger fish and it gets mad and you constantly pull at its sweet spot, it will actually get angry, thrash around, and its sweet spot's position will change. So you'll need to re-find it and find a brand new sweet spot to capture. If you like fishing minigames, which in some games I do, this is great for you. You can find these fish all throughout the water. They have different levels, different fish are found here, and you can't, unlike the ores and the trees, you don't actually know what kind of fish you're going to be getting. So come to every fish, try to catch them all. It'll be a fun game for you, and you get this really sick hat. The final lives I want to talk about are your crafting lives. This has the most in the game. You have your cook, your blacksmith, your carpenter, your tailor, your alchemist, and your artist. Again, artist is not unlocked yet. I will go over that at the end of the video. The way these work is you actually use resources you gather from both finding them around the world and from your collecting classes here. So we'll start with cook here. I do want to go ahead and show off your skill boards. Again, most of them are the same. Up here, you have ways to skip the cooking minigame. Over here, you have making it a little bit easier, gives you a little more time in the cooking minigame. Down below, you actually gain more XP for these classes. These are the hardest classes to level up. I spent double or triple the time on some of these classes than any other lives in the game. Over here to the right is your base ability. This matters more than it does for, say, the angler, because the cooking impacts your percentage of the minigame, which I will show off here in a bit. So, the very first one you have here is the cook. The cook has their guild hall in the restaurant just to the right of the guild hall. So, we'll go ahead and head on inside. These guild halls are very, very important because not only do they have your guild master here, like the cocotte, they also have your cooking table. Every single guild hall has their table, which is where you work at. So, for cooking, for example, this is where you will make some food. The first thing you need to do to make food is actually find the resources to craft. One I like to grab, and your starting one, are just eggs here. They're right behind the guild hall. You can find some more in some other places, but you can see there, gathering resources also gives 1 or 2 or a little bit more XP per gather. So it's a very, very quick way to level up very early. So you want to start by gathering some resources. Another way to gather resources specifically for cooking is by fishing. So you're going to notice this a lot. Your angler life will directly impact your cooking life. They are completely together. You basically cannot cook a lot of your foods without anglers. However, some food also comes from monsters, which you have to defeat with your combat lives. So again, find resources in the wild, kill monsters with your combat, or fish. You will then get resources to play the cooking minigame. To play this minigame, you have a couple options. You can either come to the respective table and interact with it, or, the best way, you just change to the class. You just hit cooking and move to the nearest workbench. This will automatically teleport you to the closest workbench, which you can interact with. A fun little thing here, this is a quick thing to show off. You can choose a signature. I'll explain it in-game, but basically you'll just put a little signature to everything you craft. So what you'll do is you'll hit craft. You'll then have a variety of things to choose from. So for me, you can come over here to view quests. These are everything you need for quests, or you can simplify it. I like to come to cooking because meals is the only thing you need for cooking specifically. You can see here we have meals and their requirements. So for example, I picked up those chicken eggs. I can make boiled eggs right there. However, I also have dried Tinoco fish. To get that, I need Tinoco fish, which comes from the fishing game, and palm nuts, which comes from the woodcutting game. You can see here how every single life impacts the other. When you're ready, you can just start in the game. You can see in the bottom right corner, the recommended level of cook. It recommends a level 135 cook because this is a 2-star recipe. And in the top right corner, you can actually see your level. You can see all mine are 114 across the board. Everything impacts level, but I'll go over the level of your abilities here in a bit. Let's show off the minigame. When you're ready to cook, you'll just go ahead and select it, hit craft, change the amount you want to craft, and hit craft now. Every single minigame is the exact same. You'll have 3 selections here, and you'll see in the top right corner, or the middle, exactly what you need to do. For example, this wants me to tap really quick on cooking, and then go to the pot over here on the right. You'll be pan, pan, knife, pan, tap on the knife, pan, pan. You have ladle, chop, chop, chop. It's basically just telling you what you need to do to interact with. You can also see a timer up in the top. That timer is determining how many points you get for your total in the bottom left corner. You want that completionist to hit 100%. It is the same game. In the top right corner, you can actually see what your next thing will be. You see there we get a little spin mini game. And finally, we have no more things left to do, and we hit 100% completion. You can hit that 100% completion at any point during that mini game. The quicker you go, the better you do. You also get a chance to get more items. You can see there, we've crafted the dried Tinoco fish. You will get a little bit of XP for everything you craft. However, as you can see here, I can't craft anything else besides these eggs with what I currently have. In fact, I haven't discovered a lot of these things. It is very, very, very hard to level up, which is why I recommend just kind of running around, collecting all your resources as that class to actually level them up. Now, a couple things impact your cooking ability. For one, your little weapon here. I have the bronze frying pan. This is your starting frying pan once you've hit the actual fledging tier in this, and it gives me a 114 cooking. However, your skill board also increases it. That's why I recommend grabbing your +5 cooking. It's very, very important for this minigame because it determines how well you complete it. Again, I won't go into as much detail for any of the other crafting games because every single minigame is the exact same, just reflavored to fit that. However, something that is important is what you're actually making. So what you're making with cooking is meals. If I come to consumables here, you can actually see what it does. So if I eat this boiled egg, it would actually give me +30. You get a magic increase for 30 seconds. So every single one of these is extremely important. It'll give you different effects, and that's all cooking does. You can eat it, you can get effects, you can heal, all that good stuff. And so if you like cooking, go ahead and be a cook. Your next crafting class is the Blacksmith. The Blacksmith Guild is right here to the northwest of the guild hall. You can just walk on in, and we can do all of our crafting here. You have Hammerhead here as your guild hall. You also have a material shop here. Most of these, or if not all, actually have a material shop where you can buy just your basic materials to craft with, as well as some recipes to use. You do need to get recipes in this game to craft, just like you do in most games like this. Your blacksmith is really good at two things. They're good at weapons, and they're good at shields. They're also good at life tools and armor. Basically, they serve the biggest purpose in this entire crafting system. They're what I recommend you focus on first, which is also why I recommend going miner first, because miners are used for most of this. You also can go ahead and craft ingots. Ingots are used to actually craft everything, so you can see here, all these actually use bronze ingots, all these different swords. So you'd want to come over here and actually craft bronze ingots from your Mysteria copper. Remember, your Mysterious copper comes from mining. You need to be a miner life in order to get this copper to use if you don't just want to buy it from the store. So when you craft your weapons or your life tools or your shields or your armor, this does of course impact your martial, your combat lives. If you want to get a better weapon for them, make them do more damage, you can craft it. If you want all of your different lives to be better at what they do, you can give them the better weapons here. Your bronze hammers, your bronze frying pans. Unfortunately, the bronze weapons are what they start with. Same with your shields for your paladin, as well as armor for everybody. You can craft all the armor in the game using 2 different lives. The first one being the blacksmith, the second one we just have not gone over yet. Just like every other crafting life, it is a quick minigame. As you can see here, it is the exact same as the other one, just reflavored. So you have your hammer, you have your quenching station, and you have the place where you actually stoke the fire. You go through this minigame, and you will get your material that you are crafting. I just want to show this off, because you'll see in the top right, we actually will have 2 more things to go. However, I do hit 100%, which means I did a little bit better, which means there's a chance I get double rewards or better rewards than I would have otherwise. You can do this in every single crafting game. You saw there I got 2 bronze ingots when I actually only crafted 1 of them. So I do think this is probably the best of all of the crafting classes you can get. Right next to Carpenter and Tailor, I believe, are also really strong. So if you want to craft, and if you are looking to make better weapons, better armor for all your other lives, and make sure you're doing mining as well, go ahead and pick up the Blacksmith. The next crafting life you have is the Carpenter. The Carpenter workshop is actually found outside. It's right over here, just northwest of the Hunters Guild, to the left of the bridge, and you go south, you'll have the Carpenter's Guild. What they specialize in is woodworking. So your bows and your staves for your hunter and your mage class, as well as a tough tree branch if you do just want to use a tree branch, as well as some of your furniture here. Not the armor. Thought it was the armor, but it's not. Furniture, unfortunately, doesn't really have a purpose. It just gives you a lot of XP, but requires a ton of resources. You also can sell it for a lot. So really not as useful, which is one of the reasons I think the blacksmith is a little bit stronger. However, you can get a lot of money, and you can upgrade both your hunter and your magic user. So if you're playing either of those martial classes, this is the better crafter to do. On top of that, just like the blacksmith, you can actually craft lumber here. Your logs, which you get from the Woodcutter, are not useful. You need to turn them into lumber to actually be able to use. You can see with this minigame, again, the exact same. However, you have a hammer to hit nails in, a planar, I believe is the name of this tool, as well as a saw. So you just go through the minigame like normal, and you'll end up with your reward. So if you do like chopping wood, and if you are trying to prioritize either the hunter or the magician combat classes, I do highly recommend you go for Carpenter. It's very easy. All the minigames are the exact same. However, I have found that this is one of the hardest ones to level up because it requires a ton of wood as well as other resources that you have to find out in the wild in order to upgrade this to the next tier, because you do have to make the furniture. The next crafting life you have is the Tailor. Right here is the Tailor's Guild. It's also right next to the Alchemist Guild. The next one we'll have. It's right here to the left of the Guild Hall. Very, very close by. We'll just go ahead and walk inside, and you'll have both your Guild Master and your crafting bench here. Your Guild Master is Sui there. However, if you come here, you can craft. This one really only serves one purpose. The first is to craft these woven straw and dandelion cotton. Basically, these are the materials you need. These materials are not only used for sewing, but you can also see they're used for crafting this furniture. So while this furniture is carpentry, it does require sewing to actually help it. There's also one other purpose to it. A lot of these armors you need, which even if they're from the blacksmith, require the cotton and the fabrics that you make here. However, there are some that only are required here. So for example, the hunter's hood. You need dandelion cotton, woven straw fabric, and wool, as well as being at a tailor table. So tailors are good for armor as well as the blacksmith. However, they're very utilitarian, where you basically do this to make other things. Use it to make armors. However, you also use it to make furniture as well. Very, very simple. It's really not a lot to this one. However, go ahead and do it. If you're looking at doing anything else, I think even if you choose one other crafting life to specialize in, I do think you should go into this one because it has a lot of different potential. You can see here the minigame is just a sewing, cutting, and other sewing minigame. Sewing machine versus like a needle sewing. But again, the same as all the other ones. Very, very easy. So if you do want to just help out your other crafting classes, I highly recommend you check out the Tailor as your next life. The final starting life you have is the Alchemist. You have the Alchemist Guild here, right next to the Tailor's Guild, again, just to the west here of the Guild Hall. You can just head on inside, and this is where we'll find our crafting station, as well as our Guild Master, Shamel there. This crafting is very, very useful, especially for combat. The main priority of crafting is to make potions and weapons to use in combat. You have your HP potions, your SP potions, and your mini bombs. However, it does serve one other purpose. You can craft these equipment slots. These are not your armor. These are basically extra things you can use in order to help you out a little bit. It doesn't tell you what they do here. However, all you gotta do is make them, and it'll actually tell you what they do. Just showing off this minigame here. This is actually, for me, one of the hardest ones because it's all just lab equipment. So it's actually hard for me to memorize where each one is. I'm going to go ahead and craft one of the gear here so I can actually show off what it's used for, since it's the only thing you really don't learn while just playing the game. You don't see you get a spin one. I don't think I've shown that one off yet. So the thing we just made was actually an accessory here. Usually accessories in games don't do much. However, you can see here, if I put on the green rimmed glasses, it will boost my SP by 10, boost my magic defense by 2, and boost my regular defense by 2. So the trade-off here is while you're not making full-on gear, you are making things that will still boost your stats. This is the class that makes accessories, magical accessories, as well as potions that heal you, give you some SP, and can do some damage. And again, these are just the starting ones. It's kind of the most versatile one where it is kind of its own solo thing. It doesn't really help any other classes. It doesn't require you to get anything from other classes. However, the one caveat is everything you need is found out in the wild. Healweed is just found out in the wild. Vital Weed is just found out in the wild. Minty Ore, yes, you harvest. However, things like Green Gel, Mysteria Mineral Water, all of that stuff is just found out exploring. So, if you want to create some things that don't necessarily have exact purposes, like you're not making a sword, you're not making a shield, but you're making more versatile equipment and items, go ahead and check out the Alchemist. Last thing I want to do here is actually briefly cover the two lives you cannot get at the start: the farmer and the artist. While there's not much known about it because they are found much, much later in the game, and these are brand new classes to this game, you do unlock the farmer at Chapter 4, towards the end of Chapter 4, and you unlock the artist about halfway through Chapter 15. This is another crafting one and another gathering one. I'm very excited to check it out. Let me know in the comments if you do want me to cover these and how to get them once we get to that point in the game. And finally, guys, I will just recommend a couple of paths you can go on if you just want to target through the main story, go through side quests, all that stuff. There are a couple paths I do recommend. The first one, I think if you want to go Mercenary or Paladin, both of them are equally good. I think they just serve different purposes. I think you can go Paladin, Mercenary, Miner, and Blacksmith. I think the 3 of them or 4 of them together make a very, very good combo. I think that is a solid path to go down. The second one I'd recommend is Hunter and Magician, both, with Woodcutter and Carpenter. Again, if you want to do Hunter or Magician, both of them benefit from woodcutting and carpentry. I think it's really, really solid. I do think Angler and Cook are another one if you just care more about experimenting and having a little bit of fun and freedom and you're more into the slow life instead of the RPG aspect. Grab Angler and then Cook, because Cook is the only place you can use fishes, and the only place that uses fishes is Cook. And the final 2, Tailor and Alchemist, can kind of just be thrown in wherever you like. If you like a little bit more combat, go Alchemist. If you want to give your character a lot more outfits, go ahead and go Tailor. And that is everything you guys need to know about the lives in the Fantasy Life I, the girl who steals time. If you do like this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Let me know down in the comments below which life did you choose as your starting one, and if you want me to cover the farmer and the artist when they show up. I will see you guys in the next one.